Hello, and welcome to Dolphin's Dive, the weekly strategically minded Handelabra stream hosted by LogicDolphin. Handelabra believes in civil rights for everyone and in being as inclusive as possible, so any comments or activity actively working against those goals are not welcome and will not be tolerated. Alright, I was off last week, but we shall continue. I want to do 3 spirits this time to make up for my absence. Any adversity, random adversary, no supporting adversary. Supposed to be on 3. And the scenario is the Great River. So they all align in a row like that. So, first off, let's go through the spirits. We have Rising Heat of Stone and Sand. Set up, put 2 presents on your starting board in the highest numbered sands. Special rules, blistering heat. At your sacred sites, invaders have -1 health, minimum 1. And yeah, growth options. Number 1, reclaim cards, gain power card, gain 1 energy. Number 2, add a presence at range 3 to Sands or Mountain twice. Number 3, gain power card, add a presence at range 1, gain 2 energy. Cool. We also have Serpent slumbering beneath the island, everyone's favorite spirit. Set up, put 1 presence on your starting board in land number 5. Special rules, deep slumber. You start off limited to 5 presence on the island. Raise this with your absorb essence power card. Each use covers the lowest revealed number. Your presence limit is the lowest uncovered number. So, yep, absorb essence, very important card. Growth options, pick 2. Number 1, reclaim cards, move a presence range 1. Number 2, gain a power card to gain 1 energy. Number 3, gain 4 energy. Number 4, add a presence at range 3 to land without blight. And I forgot to go over, I guess, the presence tracks here. Rising Heat starts at 1 energy per turn and 1 card play per turn, goes up to 5 energy and 5 card plays, and gets 1 earth and 2 fire. The innate power is scorched with waves of heat. 2 fire, 2 air, 2 damage to explorers only. 3 fire, 2 earth is 2 damage. 4 fire, 1 air, 3 earth is 2 damage. And 5 fire, 2 air, 3 earth is 1 damage to each invader. Synergizes well with -1 health. Serpent slumbering beneath the island, however, starts with 1 energy per turn and 1 card play per turn. And gets up to 12 energy and 5 card plays. And gets a fire, a moon, a water, an earth, 2 ennies, and 2 reclaim 1s. And I don't know why it doesn't say this explicitly, but this earth presence track requires both the reclaim 1 and the water from the previous tracks. They are a dual prerequisite in order to move on to the broken part of Serpent. We have Serpent Wakes in Power. At 2 fire, 1 water, 1 plant, gain 1 energy. Other spirits with any absorbed presence also gain 1 energy. At 2 water, 3 earth, 2 plant, add a presence at range 1. Other spirits with 2 or more absorbed presence may do likewise. And at 3 fire, 3 water, 3 earth, and 3 plant, gain a major power without forgetting. Other spirits with 3 or more absorbed presence may do likewise. And then we have Serpent Rouses in Anger at 1 fire, 1 earth. For each fire earth you have, 1 damage to 1 building or city. Or 1 town or city. At 2 moon, 2 earth, for each 2 moon, 2 earth you have, 2 fear, and you may push 1 town from target land. And at 5 moon, 6 fire, 6 earth, and at 7 cost, 7 energy cost, and every land in the game, X damage, where X is the number of presence you have in and adjacent to that land. Every land in the game. Very powerful, very costly. Alright, and then we have Volcano Looming High. Setup. Put a presence in Badlands in your starting board in a mountain of your choice. Push all Dahan from that land. Special rules. 3 of them. Mountain Home. Your presence may only be added or moved into mountains. Collapse in a blast of lava and steam. When your presence is destroyed in that land, deal 1 damage per destroyed presence to both invaders and to Dahan. And Volcanic Peaks tower over the landscape. Your power cards gain +1 range if you have 3 or more presence in the origin land. That makes up for the fact that you can only be in mountains. Growth options, pick 1. Reclaim cards, gain power card, gain 3 energy, number 1. Number 2, add a presence at range 0 twice. Number 3, gain power card, add a presence at range 4, +1 card play this turn, gain 2 energy. Starts at 1 energy per turn, 1 card play per turn, gets up to 5 energy and 4 card plays, gets 2 fires, 2 earths, 1 air. Innate powers, explosive eruption, destroy X, 1 or more of your presence in target land. The destroyed presence number below checks how many were destroyed. This power's damage is done separately to both invaders and Dahan. The ranges below can't be increased. So at 2 fire, 2 earth, and 2 destroyed presence, in 1 land within range 1, X damage. At 3 fire, 3 earth, and 4 destroyed presence, X fear. At 4 fire, 2 air, 4 earth, and 6 destroyed presence, in each land within range 1, 4 damage. Add a blight to target land, doing so does not destroy your presence. And at 5 fire, 3 air, 5 earth, and 10 destroyed presence, in each land within range 2, 4 damage. In each land adjacent to the target, add 1 blight if it doesn't have any. Very powerful, but requires 10 destroyed presence. Powered by the Furnace of the Earth. At 3 earth, add 1 of your destroyed presence. At 3 fire and at cost 2 energy, gain a power card. At 4 fire, 4 earth, move up to 2 of your presence from other lands to target land. And at 5 fire, return up to 2 of your destroyed presence to your presence tracks. So, can we make the volcano erupt controllably? We are playing against England. We have the additional loss condition, Proud and Mighty Capital. If 7 or more buildings are ever in a single land, the invaders win. The escalation is Building Boom. On each board with buildings, build in the land with the most buildings. And we also have Indentured Servants earn land. Invader build actions affect lands without invaders if they're adjacent to at least 2 buildings before the build action. Criminals and Malcontents. During setup on each board, add a city to land number 1 and a town to land number 2. And we also have High Immigration level 1. Put the High Immigration tile on the invader board to the left of Ravage. The invaders take this build action each invader phase before ravaging. Cards slide left from Ravage to it and from it to the discard pile. Remove the tile when a stage 2 card slides onto it, putting that card in the discard. And the fear card distribution is 4 at tier level 1, 5 at tier level 2, and 4 at tier level 3. Lots of fear cards, but that's owing to the fact that there are more buildings than usual. And that brings us to the scenario, the Great River. The island is vast, and the invaders are firmly entrenched in its western lands. They now seek to push east across a mighty river and open up a new frontier. Can the spirits hold them back? Recommendations and notes. This scenario uses the balanced boards only, not thematic. Boards B, C, and F are best for this scenario, then board D. Boards A and E are easier. This scenario is notably easier for spirits excellent at destroying inland buildings, or inland towns, such as Lightning Swift Strike. This scenario is notably harder for teams with little early control of inland towns. For spirits that focus on defense or counterattack to the exclusion of destroying or moving invaders, such as Vital Strength of the Earth, and against adversaries that creates lots of extra towns. Alright, setup changes. Place island boards touching top to bottom so their oceans are on the same side. The oceans represent an immense river in the west. So we had that set up over here. So usually these are oceans, but in this scenario they represent rivers. Thematically, they've already done too much to the western lands, but now they're trying to go deeper into the islands of the east, and we are trying to prevent that from happening. Rules changes. Population spills across the river. After the build step, invaders build in all coastal lands without buildings, but with explorers. After the explore step, invaders explore into all coastal lands without buildings. You have the additional loss condition. If more than 3 towns per starting board in total escape off the edge of the map, the invaders win. So what does it mean to escape? Relentless migration eastwards. At the end of the slow phase, excuse me. At the end of the slow phase, each town moves 1 land inland, farther away from the ocean, starting with the most inland lands and working their way to the least inland. When towns in a land have a choice of multiple lands to go to, they are split as evenly as possible, starting from the northernmost upper such land. When a town would be prevented from moving inland by isolate effects, it ignores those isolate effects unless a spirit pays 1 energy. When a town cannot move further inland, if it is on the eastern right-hand side of its edge, it moves off the eastern edge, Otherwise, it moves to an equally inland adjacent land if possible. So, yeah, so this is how it escapes. If they are on the rightmost edge of the board and they're during the move step, the migration step, I guess, as it were, then you lose that town. And if we lose more than 9 towns in this game, the invaders win. But the interesting thing is kind of the fact that we do have extra builds and extra explorers, but we also have towns that are moving a lot, so potentially fewer cities, but you never know. They build in all coastal lands without buildings with explorers. They explore into all coastal lands without buildings. So there's going to be a lot more going on the coast in this game. Yeah, and then they build in all things. So having cities is actually kind of for advantage, I guess. As weird as it is, because that means that they don't build or explore in the coastal lands. Inland lands are different, but coastal cities are preventing this. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that will make it easier because it's England, but it is something to consider. Yeah, and obviously they say B, C, and F are best. A and E are easier. So we have the easier one, which is A, and B and C, which are the best. So probably I don't really know why they consider it easier immediately, I guess because these are like 3 along the ocean, 3 that are range 1 and 2 that are range 2. And that's the same configuration, whereas this is 1. So, no, it's the same. I don't know. I don't immediately know. Might have something to do with the fact that I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it's easier, but I've never played it before except for maybe one time, but it's difficulty 9 because it's 6 for England and 3 for the scenario. And we're playing with 3 boards, so we'll see how this goes. Let us begin. Okay. This was me, is it? In a mountain of my choice, push Aldahan from that land. Probably want to be closer inland. I guess this is a little more difficult for Volcano because this Sands is range 2 from all the mountains. Let's put you into the city. Probably not a good idea. They're exploring wetlands. Alright, so the ones that are immediate danger of escape. And it's immediately like turn 1 even, right? Yeah, so it's at the end of the slow phase. So those 2 towns, if we do nothing about it, those are going to escape immediately. And it's very possible that we have no option but to let them escape just because, number 1, they're not wetlands, and number 2, we might not have the resources to deal with them immediately until we start growing. So it is probably fine to let those escape, but that's something to keep in mind. Otherwise, we have the wetlands builds. And then we also have builds in coastal lands without buildings, but with explorers, which is not currently relevant, but will be relevant starting next turn because the explorer is going to add to coastal lands without buildings. Oh, and that's also technically that wetland too. Okay. So let's take this board by board, just because we're playing with 3 spirits, so it's a lot that we have to dissect here. But Rising Heat of the Sand, potentially you could do double growth to put 2 presence down. We would would not be able to play Sweltering Exhaustion if we did that, unless we went up to 2 card plays. We'd be, if I did like 1 Earth and 2 card plays, which is kind of my first temptation, it'd be Gift of Searing Heat and then one of these other 2. So what to do here? This can only go into mountains or sands as well, which is not good for which is not good for wetlands. If I were to do growth option 3, I could grow like into B6 and then play Stinging Sandstorm. Or sorry, no, I could use my innate power if I could. Although that only damages explorers to begin with. I'm not hitting a fire to hit higher levels. But I could eventually get a Sacred Site in B6 because this also... No, it doesn't. What am I doing? I'm thinking of a different spirit. Different spirit is a different innate that moves presence. Okay, never mind. Ignore me. My presence is a bit more rigid. So I can't really get a Sacred Site in B6 or B1 this turn. Nor can I really easily get that without growth option 3 anyway. Well, I'm thinking of this, I guess, because this directly says that. Okay, now I remember what I was thinking. If I put a presence here and then use Stinging Sandstorm, then it moves my presence in. Invaders have -1 health, and that damage could ping the town and kill it. Main issue being that they are building a city, but we could skip the Ravage action there next turn or something. Other than that, I don't really know. That town is not going to participate in the Ravage immediately, but it is going to push to B8 or B7 at the end of the slow phase, and then it would become an immediate threat. So you do have some pushing. You have damage, but you also have some pushing. That's right here. You don't have a defend card innately. So I might have to do this so I can like ping the town with Stinging Sandstorm and not have to worry about it next turn. Or I could push 2 towns out, or town and explorer out. And I'd have to like go into B1. We can actually use this view in order to see how far each thing is from the ocean. But in any case, what did that say about when the town cannot move further inland, blah, blah, blah. So actually in board C, did I misread this? Was it board C? No. C has C4, which can actually go into C7. In fact, C7 is... Wait. Wait, hold on. Because of how these are set up, this is actually range 2, because it's next to the sands. Which means that on board C, in fact, C7 is the only place where they're going to escape. Because normally they would escape from C8, but since this is now range 2, they're going to have to go into C7. That's interesting. C7 is kind of just the group up point for board C. But yeah, we have A7 and A8, we have B7 and B8 there, and then we have C7. So I don't know if that's going to make this scenario easier or what, but it's kind of interesting. Okay. So if I were to do a single presence, I would ideally like 2 card plays. So I think I'm going to click this. Or, well, before I commit to that, I guess. Well, I have to commit for a second, but I can undo that for a sec. Let's gain power card. And ideally, we need fire. We do get 2 fire eventually, but it's pretty late, so fire is kind of first priority. Earth is probably second priority, as that leads to damage of things that aren't explorers. Unfortunately, there's no earth with these fire cards, but we do get damage per blight, Or add beasts and then damage per beasts. Potentially could be used to kill the city in B6 if we combo with a Stinging Sandstorm. But this one does give air, which is not an immediate priority, but however, it is damage per blight, which is only in B4, which has nothing right now until they explore, maybe. Could also consider Infested Aquifers that deals damage. We like things that deal damage because minus health invaders, but not. I don't think that's going to be relevant either. I feel like Blood draws predators. I feel like that's going to be better. It adds beasts, beasts deal damage, blah blah blah. We don't get our innate. Pretty much this is just going to kill an explorer. But that's better than not killing an explorer, perhaps? So it's not really doing much for the immediate builds, but it does stop a town. So. Alright, this is Serpent's board now. So the interesting thing is that C7 is the group up spot. This town is going to vacate, and then the towns that build in C5 and C8 are just going to be moving to C7. Is that a push or a move? It's move. I mean, technically this C8 town could go into B7. Absorb Essence is a possibility as well. The target spirit gains an energy and an any. So potentially we could use that to hit that air threshold. To actually ping or destroy the city if we so wanted in B6. Actually, if I were to play this one, and my any is fire, then I actually get to deal 2 damage. I don't have the thing that will retaliate, though. But if I gather presence to make a sacred site, deal 1 damage, deal 2 damage. City has 2 health, town has 1 health, so that kills a city and a town. I can dig that. And then call on herders. For each Dahan present, push up to 2. I don't really know yet what I want to do, but I'm kind of thinking things. I don't know how to, because it's like they build a city here. I need the sacred site there still to deal 2 damage, but I could instead push the town and explorer out. Main problem is if I absorb essence, I'm losing one of these presences, so I'm not gonna have a sacred site in B5. Because I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, I could But no, this damage doesn't really line up well for that. So I don't really know what this is going to be used for, but maybe moving explorers around to stop... Well, I guess builds are going to happen regardless, but pushing towns somewhere, I guess. This is range 2, so there's options, right? Anyway, back here. This has Moon Earth. This has Moon Earth. Main difficulty is going to be able to have enough... Well, I can't even play 2 cards anyway. So basically my play is Absorb Essence. And that's not really going to give me much. This is range 3 presence. I could grow into B5. But this damage is slow, so the Sacred Site will have been gone by that point if we're doing the route I'm thinking of. So I can't use the damaged town to actually kill a town. Ideally, we go up to 2 card plays. We're getting a moon as well. We're not getting close to another fire and earth. So it does seem like this C7 town is going to vacate. I guess it's just going to be gain power card and add presence. And probably want to like get myself situated in C7 so that I'm in that land and can use Serpent Rouses down the road. So, what do we have here? Something that might help. 9 Root Biters pushes 2 towns. Potentially really good for next turn because there will be 2 towns in C7. Otherwise, the general thing is you want things that aren't sun, air, or animal. All these have animal. If we ignore that for a bit, the most aggressive things and things that would help most are fire, moon, earth. Unfortunately, each of these cards has exactly one of those elements, so that's a bit of a wash. But potentially, if I do plot myself in a Sacred Site Rising Heatland, which honestly C7 looks like a really good candidate for that. It's a mountain, you can grow in there very easily. And that would allow Serpent to ping the towns that enter that land. Otherwise, gnawing Root Biters is a free card and pushes 2 towns, and that's a group up spot for towns in C7 and probably immediately relevant for next turn. So let's click that one and grow into C7 and absorb Essence and get 1 damage and 1 damage only. If I hadn't gained a power card here, I could have grown into C7. That ping would have actually killed that town before it fled, but already didn't do that. Now Volcano. A8's leaving. The town in A5 is going to move to either A8 or A7. The town in A2 is going to move to A4. I guess that's probably one thing that makes the scenario easier for board A is that you don't have choices for these lands. They're always going to go into A4. Whereas like C2 could go into C5 or C4. B2, well, that goes into B4, so that point's lost anyway. So like, yeah, they're building the town in A5, but that town's going to move to A8 or A7, so this land's not really ravaging. And what options do you have anyway? Pyroclastic Bombardment for a lot of energy, but 1 damage to each thing, 1 damage and 1 damage to Dahan. I mean, if we do click growth option 3, then we could play that and kill the town in A8, and then this town in A5 probably moves to A8, and then we have the same problem next turn. We do get +1 card play if I click that, though. Also gives power card. There's nothing in A6 right now. This presence at range 4 is only to mountains, remember? Could grow into C7. Again, that's a mountains. Pretty good prime spot for that. Because this... I mean, we could potentially destroy 2 presence in one land with within range 1, 2 damage. Had to play 2 cards have fire, earth, but all of these cards do. The problem is the energy, because I'd only have 3 energy. Although I guess I can go up to 2 energy per turn, have 4 energy, +1 card play gives me 2 cards. I could play this and a 1 cost card. Also gives me a power card, so that could give me a fire earth card. So if I were to grow into C7, then I could use Rain of Ash, but then I won't have the Sacred Site for... Well, no. I do have +1 range if I have 3 more presents, but I don't right now. Unless I click this button. If I click that button, I can't play Pyroclastic Bombardment. But I could use Explosive Eruption. It just feels like a waste to do it in a mountain that has nothing in it, though. And this button is pretty much only to put a presence in a mountain that I'm not currently in. Which should probably be C7 or B7 eventually. So... I think I'm going to click this because I do want to be in C7, but let's see what the power card is first before I decide what I do next. This has Fire Earth. It's also Steam Vents, which is pretty useless. I mean, if I have 3 Earth, it destroys a town. But I'm not getting to 3 Earth this turn, no matter what. Unless my presence is absorbed. Which would be interesting. It would be a means of destroying the town in C7, but... seems useless. Gift of Constancy? What if we were to play Absorb Essence every turn? Absorb Essence and Gift of Constancy every turn? That seems a bit silly. I could target myself with this and reclaim Pyroclastic Bombardment. Makes this basically cost 1. And it would give me an option of dealing with the town from A5 next turn. Oh, but I can't play Pyroclastic Bombardment if I'm putting this presence in C7, huh? Do I care about that A8 town leaving? What if I just say screw it and let that town leave? And I let this town leave, but then we don't let any other towns leave, because we do have a leeway of 9 towns. So if I'm not playing Pyroclastic Bombardment this turn, I'm still growing into C7. We could still use Rain of Ash and C7 to push that town out. It will basically return, but could Volcano that land next turn. Let's click that one and then grow into C7. I'm gonna take energy. But if I do play this, I mean, I'm not playing this because I don't have the second Sacred Site, but +1 range from powers that originate from a mountain is not really doing much. I mean, this gives +1 range to Serpent Rouses, but doesn't really hit anything that would do something. Unless I combo with Lava Flows. Except if I'm not... Okay, so I'd have to play these two. So if I could potentially put a Badlands down in C5. And then do the 1 damage to the town in C5. Probably C8 though, since that's escaping immediately, isn't it? No, it's going to C7, right? Does this say... It doesn't say where the moving towns are going, I guess. But Badlands is better than the damage if we're already getting a damage in that land, and it also puts a wilds down, which is not really meaningful, but exists. And I have 2 fire, so I can split 1 fire between me and Serpent. Yay. So you're gonna have 4 energy. So that town escapes. This town's not... Well, that's not even really an issue, though. Unless I do it in C7. I mean, there's going to be 2 towns there next turn, but then this Badlands is going to always work in C7. I think I like that more. Okay, so I'm happy with this. And then I think these are pretty much check marks in terms of the Ravage, because they're not really going to Ravage in there. Like, that's technically also a check mark. So we're losing the town in A8. And that's it. And then board B, we're kind of dealing with B6 ultimately. So you... No, the only... Oh, no, I still... Okay. If I'm in B6, I still have range 3 to C7. That's really good. Because I was going to say I can't really put a Sacred Site in C7 next turn. But once we have a Sacred Site in C7... Like this, they're never gonna escape from board C with the minus health invaders and stuff. That should be sick. Okay, so absorb that one, and you take a fire. And you could use this just to destroy one presence, which would deal 1 damage. I guess that's a means of dealing with C7, but that's really useless. So no. Wetlands build. Mountains explore. Uh-huh. You chose poorly. They also explore into mountains that don't, into coastal lands that don't have buildings, whatever, what they do. Yes, technically they're also building. Alright, so Badlands, and then damage. So that's all fine and dandy. And then this, and it shouldn't matter, but we'll ping the city first and then destroy the remaining buildings. This is range 2. So honestly, getting rid of that Explorer in B7 is better. I guess the build in B7 is going to happen. This town is moving. I guess, no, it could move into B5, but we'll still have 2 buildings next to B7. We won't, because this town's going to be over here. So there will only be 1 building here. So if I get rid of this Explorer, this build doesn't happen. And inland builds are really like the ones we want to avoid as much as possible. I could push this Explorer out, but that's silly. I could push this town out, but it's not really going to do much. So just get rid of that Explorer. Don't think I really need to move the Dahan, but I don't really think B8's going to be relevant anyway. Let's just put that in the sands. And I could push Dahan as well. I mean, kill that Explorer, I guess. Let's leave the other Dahan. It's a mountain. Probably don't actually want all the Dahan in there. So despite having just moved 2 Dahan in, I'm just gonna consider these to be like... Yeah, they're traveling. Alright, the Great River. At the end of slow phase, each town moves 1 land inland. And it's all just happening automatically and off screen. Okay. We did get 1 town, the 1 town that we said we're going to lose. Okay. So A6 went to A8. It was never going to A5 because that's not... It's the most confusing about this that it looks like that is kind of more inland, but it's not because it's just as adjacent to A1 as A6 is, so that went to A8. Alright, so these are the ones that are... Where'd this town go? Or where'd that town come from is what I wonder. Oh. They had C8 go into B7. The way I was reading this said, when towns in a land have a choice of multiple lands to go to, they are split as evenly as possible. So I considered C5 and C8 to be separate lands. But for whatever reason, they decided C8 should go into B7 and C5 goes into C7, because obviously C5 could only go into C7, but they said C8 should go to B7 because that's northernmost. When towns and land have a choice of multiple lands to go to, they're split as evenly as possible, starting... Oh, maybe, okay, I guess I see how this works. It's not that it's splitting them all evenly, it's that C8... First town goes into B7, second town goes into C7 if there is one. So C8 is always going to B7. Okay. That makes sense. Does that mean I should push this town out then? Because what ended up happening was they got a town in B7, which is going to turn into a city, unless I can deal with it in a slow phase. Which doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I mean, I can spend the energy to prevent the build in B7. So gather 2. That town goes to C6 because then that will force it into C7. And then I don't want that the Han in that mountain. You can stay where you are. Starting with most inland lands and working their way to the least inland. So I kind of chose the order. There was not really any choices for any of those. But the fact that it didn't really show any of that very well is kind of annoying. But I can just like do this to kind of get a better view of as to what happened. So that town escapes and then move. Okay. Anyway. So, Wetlands Ravage. So these are the ravages. That one's fine. That one's fine. And then issues there. And then the builds, bearing in mind that they're also going to build in coastal lands without buildings, but with explorers. So that one and that one. And also bearing in mind that we do have high immigration here. So we do have a town in B4. Did the town in B1 go into B4? No. Okay, I have to go back again. Where did that town come from? It came from B2, because right, okay. I forgot there's a town there because of England. England sets up an extra town there. Okay, so gather, push, stay. Okay. The reason that town matters is because that means B7 is building regardless. Unless I just prevent it still, but... Alright, so ravage, fine, ravage, build, Okay. I could get to 3 card plays this turn if I wanted. I have no Earths. Anyway, let's take this line by land again, although we're pretty sure that Rising Heat is going to double grow into C7. As that will make those towns have minus health, and even though they are building there and they are building a city, we can pretty much easily kill all the buildings in there. I'm not really worried about that. There's a Dahana B1 that's currently going to die. A Ravage in B6 that's going to destroy a presence. A build in B7 that is otherwise not preventable. So Sweltering Exhaustion we can use to stop the build in B7, so we don't have to worry about that town vacating immediately. I said it was going to take this spirit by spirit or board by board, but I'm just looking ahead and thinking, alright, so Elemental Aegis and C7 would solve C5, and yes, that build, that Ravage in C8 is currently already solved, but not a really good candidate for Elemental Aegis otherwise. Always a possibility that we get a power card that helps. So I mean, like, I'm pretty sure we're doing this. I don't think I want to play 3 card plays here. Even though I could, but then I'd be reclaiming a lot. Let's just take up energy for sustain. And then play whatever for now. We're gonna have damage to explorers only. And then something else happening that we're not sure what the ramifications are yet. So I feel like we're just going to stop that build, but it doesn't really stop the Ravage next turn as the town in B4 is going to gather there, because that's the only option. And if we do nothing about this Ravage, then the town there is also going to go into B7. Or B8, because that's northernmost or something. Who knows? No, I guess we do know, because C8 went into B7. Yeah, so it's going to go into B8. But the B4 town will go into B7. So C7 is going to get everything from C6, C5, and C4. So that's still a good spot. A8 is going to get A6 and A5. And then A7 is never getting anything ever. Unless there's multiple towns in A5. Okay. I guess A8 also gets C4 if multiple push. B6 goes to B8. Okay. Yeah, the only thing I don't really like is I can't stop the Ravage in B6 currently. I guess I have a means of giving us a minor power. So maybe Gift Primordial Deeps is good for B6, maybe? I mean, it depends on what the minor power is, but gives us an option. This is always gain a power card, right? Buttons. Still would like Fire, Earth, if possible. We're getting to 2 card plays. We don't have any innate things, but any Fire Earths, 1 damage kills a town immediately, so that's fine. Scour the Land destroys 3 towns? Uh-huh. Fear? I mean, what, we're playing Aegis and we're maybe playing Gift of Primordial Deep, so this power card is not going to be useful for this turn. And then you're probably just putting presence down to create a super stack. I guess we could use Pyroclastic Bombardment from C7 to B6, which is big range. And that would be a means of solving B6. Again, kind of overkill, but unless they just want that to blight and then not have that town solved. Don't need the volcanic eruption in C7. I am thinking I'm going to do this, though. I can only play one card, by the way, so if I do this... That's it. Kind of like that, even though it doesn't really seem to do much. A2 does Blight and Ravage and all that, but... Probably okay with that. Is there going to be a single land with many towns that we would like Scour the Land for? It does require a sacred site as well. But currently not really. I mean, I guess we should think about the towns that are building and where they're going to go in addition to everything else. A6 is building and that's going into A8. A1 is building and that's going to go into A6. A3 is building and that's going into A4. A4 is going into A5. So there's a lot of lands that are just going to have a single town after everything's done. C3 is building and that's going to go into C4. All those towns will probably be gone. Maybe. Might not have as much damage as I think we have. I could destroy 2 presents here. I could do bombardment into B6 and then explosive eruption. It's not like super necessary. Well, I guess this town's dying anyway. But if I do that, then there's going to be nothing in C7, not even a city. But then again, everything there is minus health. I feel like I'm not worried about that. Just save the tokens for a bigger eruption if needed. This does target a land within range 1, but like everything nearby is dying to ravages anyway. Board B is the one that probably has the most towns that are still left, but they're not going to be grouped up either. A3 goes into B3 goes into B4, B4 goes into B7. So no land that has 3 towns yet. Maybe just take Visions of Fiery Doom. Its Sphere pushes a town away from a danger zone down the road if needed. Okay. And then always be presencing. Where do I want to be? Assuming I'm playing Gift of Primordial Deeps on Rising Heat, even though Pyroclastic Bombardment would solve B6, but that's kind of going to be the backup, I think. I'd rather do that somewhere else, if possible. Like B4? B4 would be a bit good spot. I don't need Sacred Sites right now. I guess you don't have anything for A8 yet. Although I'm not really going to have anything for A8 anyway. Oh, but I will have 2 moons and 2 earths. So I can push a town. But it has to be at range 0. So let's just go into A8. Aegis and Gift of Primordial Deeps. And that's it. So this gets a power card, and that's the point of no return, so... that definitely reaches there. Could use that there if we want. Serpent Rouses. Pretty much I did that for A8 now, but then C7's not doing anything, so I could do the Explosive Eruption just to kill the things in C7, I guess. I don't even need to... I could just destroy 1 presence. And then that deals 2 damage. I guess the problem is that is building, so if I do destroy 2 presence and stuff, then that's slightly better. I think what I have is working until I find out that it's not working. I target you, and I do get a Fire Earth in 2 different ways. Both of them are slow. Add a Badlands is always happening though, right? We don't have innate fire yet, but we're always playing fire cards. 1 fear, 1 damage to buildings. Invaders do not heal damage, but also add a Badlands. Or 2 damage and push an Explorer, but this is like better, right? This is my elements. I mean, this one's also my elements, but this one puts Badlands down. Badlands is always good. Definitely want to play it, as now this deals damage to buildings. But it does mean that I do need Pyroclastic Bombardment for this land. Sweltering Exhaustion here. I guess I could have Volcano deal 1 damage in A6. And that stops that build. And then that town doesn't go into a land where I'd have to immediately deal with it, right? Quenchable Flames could go into into C7, and then that... or I could do that instead. So I think Serpent Rouses goes in A8, and then this is solved in different ways. I could prevent the build outright. Is that going to be better? Already a Badlands in C7. If I do 1 damage there, it's actually 2 damage. Would kill both towns. Puts another Badlands down. I'm so indecisive here. I should probably just get rid of this stuff. Just so that I don't have to worry about it and I could focus my actions elsewhere. And then it doesn't really matter, but let's go ahead and... Oh, deals damage to Dahan. I don't want to damage the Dahan. Can I defend? Does defend reduce damage to Dahan? I don't see why it would. Wait, does it? I think it does, doesn't it? No? No. No, it doesn't. Okay. In that case, then I just don't actually deal damage to a neighboring land. That's defended. So then this build doesn't happen. Which means I could do Unquenchable Flames in B4 or something. And that town is going to have -1. It's going to have 1 health. But then it's going to move into B7, but then I could put a Sacred Site in B7 and immediately kill the town. Which is an interesting way of dealing with that. It doesn't mean I only have Blood Draws Predators for next turn, but it does mean I get to do another double presence. Which is interesting. Should be mindful of the fact that wetlands are going to build next turn. Which could be bad, but I'll worry about that later. And then you spend energy to deal damage here, stop that build, and then I think we're good. We have our first event card. Wave of Reconnaissance. Such a weird word. Wave of Reconnaissance. When exploring, add 1 additional explorer to each land explored. Stricken. Invaders do not ravage in lands with disease or strife. Retreat. On each board, push 2 Dahan from a land with city to a land without city. That's actually good. Saves this Dahan. Also saves A2. Yeah, it's a really good Dahan movement here. Let's just start you in B4. Also, C1's moving. Go C5, I guess. This one's moving. Go... A1's probably not going to be easily solved. Let's just throw you in A4. Wetlands Ravage. Oh, right. England. They still built there because England. Okay. Here's where the game starts getting difficult because England is just going to perpetually make every land build. Jungles. And every coastal land has buildings, so they're not doing additional explorers. I only have range 1 here. It's not actually going to do as much as I would have liked. Pretty much just doing this to push the town. Do I want to push this into C4 and then target it with Unquenchable Flames? Or with Scorch? Scorch would be better. I don't have range there. Do this. Towns. Oh boy, it's so hard to keep thinking about where all the towns are gonna be. Wait, did that town heal in the end? Invaders do not heal damage at end of turn. At the end of the slow phase. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense then. What that means then is that I'd have to target this. But that at that point then... Okay. At that point, before the town of B4 is not even damaged. So that's kind of rude. Do I have range here? I do. I can kill that town. Put more Badlands in Volcano's land. Seems fine. Okay, and then wetlands build and blah, 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 blah. Like this is, for instance, building, even though it's empty because there's 2 adjacent buildings. So here's where the game will start getting difficult because builds are going to happen everywhere. Towns are going to be everywhere. Towns are going to keep moving. My original plan was to do a sacred site in B7 with a damaged town that instantly destroys it, but that's not happening. So maybe now is just better to do growth option 3, get a power card, maybe get something that stops... I don't want to say stops the B7 ravage, but stops the town in B7 from doing something bad. But I'm not sure what I want to do. Visions of Fiery Doom pushes a town out if needed. So let's see, what are the... Okay, let's first address the ravages that we should consider. For instance, C7 has nothing in it. B2 has nothing in it, so that ravage could go off. C3... has Dahan. That's really the only reason I care about it. A1 has a city, but... I mean, the coastal city's fine because it stops them from doing additional explores and builds there. Since towns are fleeting. I think I'm gonna click this and see what I get. I also get plus card play, which... Oh no, this is you. I get plus 2 energy. Should I take a major? If I take major, I'm just gonna go to 3 card plays. Or 3 energy, and... So 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 2 is 6. It could be a major. I mean, honestly, ditching Sweltering Exhaustion would be okay, because skipping a Ravage doesn't seem to do much. Skipping builds against England is good, though, but the towns moving around kind of means it's, like, just feels temporary. Well, let's take Major, because we have energy. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Interesting. We don't have a 3rd plant. We don't even have a 2nd plant. But more Badlands? Target land and a land adjacent to it become a single land for this turn. As the terrain and land number of both lands, when its effect expires, divide pieces as you wish. That's an interesting way of screwing with the with the distance from coast counts. Is there a way for that to be, like, meaningful? I was debating for a second whether this means that volcano could actually move into a wetland, but your presence may not be moved into non-mountains. And all the pieces are considered moved, so I could, for instance, do something wacky, like make C6 and C7 be one land, and then, well, I guess this is during the fast phase that would happen, so I can't have volcano add a presence to C6, but that would be interesting. Is there a place where that would be meaningful? I mean, this is like a way of screwing with adjacencies and stuff. And it says for this turn, which means that the end of slow phase check happens first. And then this effect expires. And then the pieces get divided. So, like, one potential use case would be for us to make, like, for instance, if... I don't see it being relevant this turn, but, like, if we had buildings in these two lands, like towns in those two lands, and we couldn't solve both of them, or we couldn't solve either one, period, then we could make both of them be the same land, and then only one of those towns escapes, and then... yeah, we get one fewer town loss from that. Alright, Wounded Wild turns on its assailants, can only target lands with blades. So... B4 is a target for that. And it's building. We add the two Badlands first. We're also playing Blood Draws Predators. So if we could somehow make sure we're within range 1, which we can. If I do Blood Draws Predators there first, and then Wounded Wild, we add two Badlands, gather two beasts, and then it has one blight, two beasts for 3 damage, but two Badlands, so it's 5 damage. So they are building there, so it's going to build a city, so we can destroy the city and the town. But then, since we destroyed an invader in that land this turn, we added another beast. There's 2 beasts in the land, so it deals 2 damage, plus 2 Badlands, so it's 4 damage. Which will kill the 2 explorers. Only real issue with that is that doesn't deal with B7 at all. So what's our option for B7? Anything? We are maybe gaining a power card with Volcano. But, like, A6 is an issue currently as well. Honestly, Elemental Aegis would be a pretty nice option for this turn, as it would defend A1 and C3 pretty well. Let's defend 3, yeah, so it would defend those 2 pretty well. If I'm reclaiming all, then I could probably just play Absorb Essence again. Oh my god. Those 2 plays gives me 2 fire, 2 earth, 2 moon. So we will have 2 damage and 1 push off of this. I mean, like, A8 will be a place that I could do things in, I guess. A3 is also building... I mean, does it make sense to even make these markers? Especially when I'm also going to add them here. This also moves a presence, and it can be used to go into a land with blight, but... I guess I could move A8 into A6. It's not blighted, but not really many good options for movement anyway. They're also building there. I feel like this has the most potential use. Get rid of sweltering exhaustion. Get more energy. We want to be within range 1 of B4. This is not doing anything for B7, by the way, but don't think I have many good options there. That town's also escaping. This is range 1 presence. We can easily grow into sands or mountains, so going into not sands or mountains would be better. Okay. So if you're reclaiming, you're not getting a power card because you always want you to be growing, but you're moving your presence. Maybe I move it here and then place a presence A3 maybe? Or is A5 is going to move into A8. A3 moves into A4, A4 moves into A5. If I do grow into A3, I'm going to have to deal with that land next turn as well, which I don't have an immediate solution for. I guess I'm just going to go back into A8 because A8 is building and I forgot about that. So that and Absorb Essence and Elemental Aegis. And we're good there. There isn't any on this. I feel like our thought here was just to grow into B7 maybe? Well, B7's not solved. Unless I find a power that solves it, but... We do have a destroyed presence coming back this turn. Regardless. I would like to grow into B7, but there's not really much point in growing into B7 if that's ravaging and I'm just going to lose that presence anyway. I could absorb that presence, but then it still doesn't solve that I... don't have much. I don't know, maybe I just spam middle growth option and destroy one presence A6 to kill the town that's in there. I don't need to do more damage than that. I guess I could do extra damage to kill the city in A1, but like it's gonna result in them building there anyway due to the rules. So I kind of like for that city to continue existing. C3's dying and then building anyway, right? Oh, but they need explorers. England doesn't affect them, haha. Honestly, just spam this, I guess. I feel like we're not going to have very many power cards this game. Do we get power card in our reclaim? We do. We're going to have millions of energy. I guess I want to make sure I can play 2 cards. And then I just want to go up the energy track and then just basically only ever take major powers moving forward. So I'm not really going to have many cards to play. Gift of Constancy. I guess we could reclaim Absorb Essence. Okay, so the only thing I know is that that's going there, and we're absorbing someone. Probably absorb you, since we already took one of yours. Take that one. This one doesn't matter as much. Guess we could gamble on choice events. The plant's not gonna get us that threshold. Eh. Maybe we get lucky somehow. Elemental Aegis. Explosive Eruption. I mean, we could do Gift of Constancy on Rising Heat and keep this or something, but... Nah, I feel like Serpent is better. We'll give you a major power next turn or something. Tight-knit communities. For the rest of this turn, buildings have +1 health. Prey on the unwary. Each beast destroys explorers. Add beasts to a board without one. On each board, add Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. Well, that's honestly kind of annoying, because now all the damage in B4 is kind of lost. Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. That's no choice. That's no choice. And then if I put it here, that city dies. I guess that's okay. Like... yeah, whatever. For your cards, skip all explore actions and lands with at least 2 Dahan. Okay. Buildy, 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 buildy. Ravage. Okay, and now we have London going on here. Board A, we have a choice. Annoyingly, these are both wetlands. They are building a town, so the town's just going to move anyway, so let's just put you further coastal. These are both jungles. Again, town's just going to move. Let's put you further to the coast. Lots of options here. Let's just put you in the wetlands, because you're just going to move anyway. But they skip these explorers for whatever good that does us. Okay, so this is happening here. The damage is going to be a bit wonky. I think we can still kill the city and then kill the town. I guess that made that damage better. I mean, we didn't kill everything, but we didn't waste any damage. Add one of your destroyed presence. The damage that we had here is not enough now. Unless I could push you into a Rising Heat Sacred Site. I guess we could do that to push the town from C5 into C7 and then it dies. So what's vacating us right now? B8, B7, C8's moving into B7. Excuse me. A8. So these are the ones that we're losing right now. I don't have range to those. I have range to that. But we could also just push that out with this. So it's kind of wasted. I could increase the range on this by putting a destroyed presence here. And then all the towns are gonna move and it's gonna just screw with the lay of the land anyway. Also, C4 is going to move into C7. There's going to be a lot of towns in C7. Also, they're building C7? Uh-huh. I don't know. I don't know, man. I just work here. It's really hard to gauge where this would be most effective and where this would be most meaningful. This also pushes to Han. Does that motivate me to do it somewhere else? Keep thinking there might be a way to solve the towns on B, but I don't have range to any of those. So nothing there. Feels like all I can really do is try to minimize the number of towns that will be on 3s next turn. Maybe I can just combo this and, like, sure, deal damage, whatever. Go there, and then Reina Vash here. You can go in that land. That pushes the most number of towns into a 1. Destroy presence, sure. Movement. Do. Yeah, lots of towns. And then there's this. I mean, maybe I just gain a major power and not reclaim next turn. I don't know. Is Aegis going to be helpful now that we know where everything is? Jungle Ravage. It's not really... I guess if I could be in B7. But I can't be at B7. Because that would defend B4 and B8 pretty well. Is there a reason to absorb Essence? I think we said we're gaining a major. Let's keep Absorb Essence. And... do I want to reclaim? This gives me 3 energy. It's so easy to just take a major at that point. This also gives me 2 energy, though. Which is also 3 if it goes off the energy track. And then I could play that major the following turn if it's good. Should I do that? I feel like I should. Let's just take majors. It's a major turn. Land Thrashes, huh? Bargain, no. Bargain is really strong here with all the movement. If we could bargain all the lands that are range 3, then we don't have to worry about the scenario anymore. However, this is range 0, you might notice. However, it says both target land and another land with 2 or more Dahan. So first, I have to be in a land with 2 or more Dahan, which is Volcano, so it's hard, but... that said, we do have triple stack Sacred Site, and we can actually just, like, target one of these neighboring lands. But, like, we target that, and, like, A7 or B8. I mean, neither of those are very rich for those purposes, but... we could basically move everything into Volcano's land or something. And if every single land, if every single range 3 one was bargained, then we would be able to just consistently move pieces into Volcano's land. Let's think about that for a sec. This is also Reclaim. You already have a major. You're probably playing it this turn, so you're gaining a minor. Plant would be kind of nice to maybe hit this threshold someday, but we don't have any. Looking primarily for fire. 1 damage to each building, though, with C7. Jesus. I mean, fire, earth, which is good for hitting Scorch. I feel like it's no reason not to click Quicken here. This is the only other fire card. These have air. +1 range with powers. May disease ones. Push things inland at range 0. Damage or defend 4. I feel like it's always Quicken. So we'll just do that. Serpent, we said we were gaining a major. Perhaps the consideration here is that we could forget Elemental Aegis for this. Your presence may count as badlands and beasts. Your presence cannot move. Could combo that with this. Swarm Swath, 2 fear in both origin land and target land, 1 damage to each invader. Honestly, that seems pretty good. Air is the only element that's kind of icky. We're getting an any. But we don't have air otherwise. Also requires a sacred site. But like targeting out of C7, targeting something that's a town in a neighboring land that's gonna move into C7. That town after it moves dies. Also, they are building a city in C7, but we have Badlands in that land. So I feel like it's that. Let's ditch Aegis. That requires a sacred site, so we're gonna put one there. And any to consider. Let's go ahead and play that immediately. We have a Reclaim 1 coming up, so it's pretty much Storm Swath for the rest of the game? No, yeah, because I have Reclaim 1, yeah, so I could Storm Swath the rest of the game. Potentially. What else then? Bear in mind that this is a Ravage. That's a Ravage. That's actually fine if that Blades because that still kills the town. So, like, I feel like I want to take Bargain. Honestly, yeah. Nothing in my discard. I feel like Rains of Ash is kind of expensive for what it does. Let's just do that. Let's do the bargain. The question is if I want to bargain again. So I'm going to target A1 and B8 probably. The town that moves into B8 can move to something closer to this volcano. I guess that means A1. Although actually A1's going to move. There's things going on there. I did not mean to click that. If I do this... They are building A1, but pretty much... Actually, pretty much anytime that we add pieces to those lands, just throw them in C7 and Storm Swath them away. Is that the new meta? Okay, what about... Did I lose these icons? Did I have them a second ago and they're gone? Do I care about these ravages at all? I mean, there's 3 blight left on the card. Obviously, the B4 Cascade's kind of crap. I think we were thinking of doing quick and nearest struggle in C7, but that's not really relevant right now. That's also my only sacred site. We could erupt, I guess. Although we don't have many presences on the island right now. Honestly, yeah, defending over here would have been a little better, but I don't have range. Remember that I forgot the card that lets you block a Ravage. Maybe that was silly. +1 range with their powers that originate from a mountain. Don't think that's gonna do much either. I think we have to gamble on finding a power card that helps. So that goes towards you again. Trying to find something that will stop B4, I think, is my primary goal there. It could do this in order to get +1 range for defend 10 for C4, but if we're blighting the island, it's almost kind of not worth investing that much to reduce 1 blight. Like, we're over by 4 blight right now. Say Gift of Constancy, and then this to bargain again next turn and try to use this to do something, and then... I don't know. Don't you also have a card that moves to Han? Or did I forget that or something? We have this. Try to use that to get another land with 2 or more to Han. And then, I don't know. I really don't know. We're gambling that this minor power helps. Fire in the Sky. That would be really good. Hello, I am back. My device is disconnected as they seem to always do during this stream. I guess Fire in the Sky solves C4, which is not really that meaningful, but it is something. It's like 2 fear for free, right? Otherwise, a plant card would be nice to someday hit the threshold on this, but it's gotta be that. Go ahead and strife that city, it's fine. Gift of Constancy. For Gift of Constancy, Storm Swath, right? We're bargaining this. Remove that one. That's fine. Bargain with that land. And then we don't have any thresholds on that. I don't want to use it then. You still have an element. I think we just wait and see. Promising farmland. When exploring once per board, place a town instead of explorer. Beast provoked on each board. Add beast to a land without blight that has towns. Canny defense. During ravage in every land, defend 1 per Dahan. That last one's pretty good. That solves this. That solves this. And then this still blights. Add beasts to a land without blight that has town. I could just add a beast here, and then that beast moves somewhere else. That's funny. Were you saying this turn? Is there a place where that matters? Land with blight. But it does gather 2 beasts. If I put you there, then I can just click you there. Yeah, okay. That works fine. Then... C7 probably doesn't really need it, but it is this place where we're grouping things anyway. And then I can't hit A1 with this. Go in A5, I guess. Then the defense happen. Fear card. On each board, gather up to 1 explorer into a land with 2 or more invaders. Does that help us? This is off by 1? The unfortunate thing is that Dahan's dying. Even if I get rid of the explorer, because defend 1 is not enough. That town deals 2 damage, but there's 2 badlands, so it's dealing 4 damage to the Dahan. But defend 1, so it takes 3. But I can stop the blight at least, and that's fine with me. Does that mean we actually don't blight the island? I think we do. So that's good. Let's throw you into B1. On this board... Don't think it really matters. I guess they're building in B3, but they're... Oh yeah, but if I remove the explorer, yeah, because it specifically says build in coastal lands without buildings, but with explorers. So if there's nothing in the land, England doesn't affect it because it's not targeted by the build action. Okay, I like that. Also, this was ravaging and blighting, but I can stop that as well. Sure, why not? Cool. Nice fear card. Actually, it stopped us from blighting the island, and now we're only taking 1 blight. As far as I know. Click a land to build in it. Oh, right, because this is going to then move. Is there a reason that I don't just want to put as many pieces into C7? Am I going to lose in the escalation? I mean, they're building a city in there right now, and I don't think that order matters, so might as well do that. And then, obviously, that piece... I feel like there's no point in me ever putting this built town in there. There's no point in me putting this, like, that's always going to be a city. That's always a city. That could be a city, but I don't really see why you'd want it to be a city. So that town can now move to C7. Yeah, I don't think there's really going to be anything else. Choice here. We're going to target B1. Is there enough things for that? No? Nowhere close? And then what? Once per board, place a town instead of an... Well, if they explore B8, we can throw that there. We'll check again. Okay, 6 buildings. We don't lose. Then town, sure, why not? Why not? Go there. Actually, no. That one is incorrect. So that one... Oh, right. They're doing the build first. Ugh. Explore that. Move the town there. I want to actually explore this, I think. Maybe? I guess both C5 and C4 will have towns. And they're both moving into C7, so Storm Swath targeting one or the other doesn't matter. So let's just do it here. Keep you as far away as possible. And then... go there anyway, because you would end up exploring there anyway, right? Yeah. Oh, and then, sure, go in that land. Okay. We could technically target this land with this. Add 2 Badlands, gather 2 beasts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll kill everything in there. This also will... also forgot, adds 2 Badlands. Goes 2 beasts. So there's 3 beasts, 2 Badlands, 1 Blight, so that's 6 damage. Not quite enough to kill everything in there. We could just lose the game immediately to push this town into C7. Do we just want to lose immediately for fun? No, of course not. We have an add a destroyed presence thing there. Don't think that's going to matter yet. Could actually use this to push Explorer's Towns from B8 into, like, C7, except that would be a really bad idea. That said, putting it into C5 would be pretty smart, wouldn't it? I mean, that town's vacating, right? So we actually need to get rid of that. So let's say I do this, and then push things there, and throw you into that land. Because Storm Swath into that land now... those pieces can only go into C7, but once they go into C7, the towns that are damaged lose a health and then they die. So that's good. I guess we could damage that city and kill it. That's another thing. I really want to do that in B1. If I damage everything, if I kill everything but the town does move, but then I don't worry about that ravage next turn. That's probably the right idea there. I guess it turns into a land that will explore, but I don't have to worry about the ravage right away. Still 2 damage, only in these neighboring lands. But killing the city was the good idea there. Storm Swat there. Plus damage because of the Badlands, kills that. And I can actually just kill the city off now. We do have 2 fire, 1 earth, but I can gain an earth, which will be 2 damage and also gets that threshold for extra things. So I think that's what happens there. I could have clicked plant to gain an energy and also give an energy to rising heat. I don't think I care about that. There's no other towns that are leaving the island right now. I think the thing I forgot about, though, is that this power... The intention was for me to get another land with 2 Dahan that's at 3, but I think we hit... Okay, we hit B7 with that. So we can bargain C3 and B7. Yeah, so anytime that they build or explore in these coastal mountains, that's fine, because we could just throw the things into C7. And then... constantly playing Storm Swash should just eventually kill off everything that's in C7. We don't have to worry about that. And then we have protection in B8 and B7. Yeah, this feels really strong. The only issue we have right now is that A5 has a lot of buildings, but that's... 3 of them are vacating, but then 3 of them are moving to A5 anyway. So I do have to be careful of this. I don't have an immediate solution for that, though, but... okay. I could just kill the city off, but at the same time... Actually, what if I just do this? There's a lot of bad ones there. I could kill that city off, but it's gonna die to Storm Swath in the next turn anyway. Oh, and if I push this town here, which then moves to this land, it dies. There you go. We got to push a town for 2 fear and also kill a town. Okay. I feel really good about this game right now, which means I'm gonna lose in 2 minutes from something that I completely missed. Honestly, it'd be nicer if I could just put if I could put a presence in B7 and target that with bargain. Because then I could hit A7 with that. So I think that is what I'm gonna do next turn. Let's put this down so that I have a triple stack. Oh. I was joking when I said we're gonna lose in 2 minutes, but actually order of operations is bad here, huh? Okay. Okay. So the reason for that loss is that they did A4 first. I guess they go in. It says starting with the most inland lands and working very least inland, but I guess it goes by land order anyway. So it did A4 before A5, so they threw too many towns in A5. Okay. So we're gonna that's a loss if I let that happen. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can really stop that from happening. Remember I said I felt really good about this game. I was gonna lose in 2 minutes. That was honestly a joke, but it turned out to be real. Okay, let's go back this far. Okay, so that London build I had no choice in. Let's just throw that. No, that was not where I wanted that to be. Yeah, I might not have it. I might not be able to salvage this. First explores a town. You don't have plus range, and you have like no range to that at all. And this is, I don't have range there, I don't have range there. I think this is just a loss. Bah humbug. Well, the Grinch made its way to Spirit Island. That's really unfortunate. That's pretty sad. Oh well, I'm doing my best here. GG. So we were almost at tier level 2, but I mean, that wouldn't have won us the game either. Unfortunate. The proud and mighty capital stands as a beacon for an unending flow of invaders. Man, I kind of want a rematch on that because if we had survived that turn, we would have been fine, I'm sure. No, the order of operations here is also like I want to check really quickly. So what is the name of this scenario? The Great River? Doesn't say on the FAQ. It doesn't say on the wiki, so let me just do a quick check of Discord, I guess. Just check all the resources for what the official ruling here, because nothing there either. So starting with the most inland lands and working our way to the least inland. The only conundrum is the fact that, like, we only lost because these two lands are both at range 2, but it chose to do this land before this land, and that results in a loss? Is that, like, are we supposed to do it by inland lands first and then by board land order otherwise? Honestly, I'm just going to spit a feedback here. I have a question about the Great River scenario and its choosing of end of turn land orders. The scenario description just says starting from the most inland and make sure that I state this right. I want to read the actual card. Starting from the most inland, start with the most inland lands and work your way to the least inland. I lost this game because the scenario chose to push towns out of A4 before A5, not giving me a choice. Not giving me a choice. Both of those lands are 2 inland from the ocean. So should I have had a choice as to which to push from first, or does it go board land order at that point? I'm pretty sure that was A4 and A5. Also, just let me clarify. And orders for town movement. How about that? I don't know. Boop. No, I needed to talk to someone. I already explained what happened. Skip. Okay. I did it. Well, I will accept the loss in any case. Unfortunate. It was a pretty powerful situation I had. Would have eventually resulted in a win, I'm pretty sure. But of course, I had to say the phrase, I will probably lose in 2 minutes because of my confidence, and I proceeded to lose in 2 minutes due to my confidence. So, call that karmic justice, if you will. Krista, if you're watching, call this episode karmic justice. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Check out Handelabra Live tomorrow. Maybe something will be demoed before it is released. I know that the next phase of Nature Incarnate has been starting to be previewed. I'm not playing on the beta build right now, so I don't have any of that to show you, but yeah. Check that out tomorrow. Check me out next week. I will do another Great River match. Hopefully we win that time. But until next time, see ya.